Solfilius was a truly draining place to be. The surface of the wretched planet was pounded with scorching heat from Coronis, the star that Solfilius swung around closely. The atmosphere was harsh and thick, frequently caked in the volatile dust that covered the planet's surface. During the night, the planet would snap into a frozen state. Just about every bone in your body would become brittle without any protection. Everywhere you looked was brown and dull, not even a hint of colour that strayed away from the overwhelming amount of brown and grey. Justin was utterly clueless how the people on this planet worked here. He would lose his sanity if he had to stay here for more than a few days. Despite this, numerous people stayed here for a week while they worked, before leaving to go home. Justin had no clue how they managed such an undertaking. It wasn't just the natural environment of this planet that made it truly depressing. It was the vast array of industrial equipment here. Justin's accommodation was located on the top of a wide ravine. His single window overlooked the depths below. The ravine was littered with all kinds of mechanical machines. What stood out most were the three gigantic, dystopian-like drills that stood upwards out of their ground. They had seen heavy use and were covered with swathes of rust. Large proportions of their paint had flaked off, and the large NFMC logo, the mining company that was in charge of all mining operations on Solfilius, could only be made out on one of the drills now. The wide expanse of land below looked like something out of an apocalyptic movie. Extending from the scaffolding that supported the drills were large conveyor belts that transported raw ore from the drill into large hoppers. Trucks would drive underneath these and transport the ore into awaiting transportation ships to be shipped off the planet and onto the next planet over, Adusta, where the ore was to be processed. Despite how utterly repulsed Justin was by Solfilius, he knew it was of utmost importance to the interstellar frontier. The major export of the mining facility here was staminite. Staminite is typically found within dense areas of matter, such as in nebulae or other supernova remnants, especially towards the centre of the galaxy. It is found more often in asteroids and high debris areas than in planets. Because of this, Solfilius was a very strange outlier. It was a planet, and yet staminite is incredibly abundant on its surface. This never failed to baffle Justin. Was it simply by pure chance? Did the stars happen to align themselves in just the right way to form gigantic swathes of it here? Justin thought that he should ask someone about it sometime. What made staminite so precious was its role in spaceships. It has the ability to warp space-time incredibly effectively, allowing ships to move through the interstellar void at rates never seen before. Solfilius was 3,500 light-years away from Earth. Using the old graviton drive ships, the trip took a couple of months. Using the new staminite ships, it takes a week. The appeal of ships that were 8 times faster than the old graviton ships quickly got the attention of ship manufacturers, and production of the ore skyrocketed when Solfilius was discovered. Solfilius and its resources are heavily regulated by various international treaties. The NFMC is the only company allowed to mine on its surface, and the company is closely monitored by the international community. Although the presence of tyrannical corporations and governments around the world took a sharp decline during the 2050s, allowing any group to unfairly exploit the resources of Solfilius could be catastrophic, extremely damaging to the interstellar frontier and the world economy as a whole. Solfilius was rather different compared to where Justin worked. Justin worked in an orbital gateway to and from Solfilius, high above its surface. The gateway was run by the international community, and served as a border point of sorts. They were common around the interstellar frontier. The gateway served as a quarantine and security checkpoint, to ensure any potentially lethal alien diseases stayed on the planet, and any illegal goods were kept off of the planet's surface. Justin was the overseer of the whole gateway. His job was very important to get right, otherwise, disaster could ensue. Fortunately for Justin, his stay on Solfilius was short. He would depart tomorrow, after he helped sort out some logistical issues with the spacecraft. Justin was a specialist in logistics, and he was excellent at tackling any job that had anything to do with the field. For the time being, his co-overseer, Randy, would be taking care of all operations aboard the orbital gateway. Solfilius had a similar day cycle to Earth, completing a full rotation only a couple of hours faster than Earth. Justin figured that he might as well focus on the positives. At least the gravity was pleasant. It was only 0.8 Gs, 80% of Earth's. He hated wearing an exoskeleton. Fortunately, he only needed to put on a rebreather here. Justin got up off of his bed and began to walk over to the door to his room. Before he got to the door, he grabbed some of his stuff. He took his phone and wallet. Lastly, he grabbed the rebreather that was hanging up on the wall. Rebreathers allow for a person to breathe in an atmosphere similar to that of Earth, but not so similar that they could breathe in it for a prolonged period of time. They are like surgical face masks, but bulkier. Justin walked out of his room and down the hallway to the airlocked exit. He walked into the airlock after putting his rebreather on. The door shut behind him.
Atmospheric purification in process. Do not remove your rebreather,
spoke an electronic voice inside the airlock. Air whooshed through the chamber. The door outside then opened. Justin walked out and onto the asphalt car park. He had been provided with a car to use during his stay. The cars here were mainly hydrogen powered, but some were electric. Justin had been provided with an electric car. He got in the vehicle. The cars were airtight, so breathing inside was made a lot easier. Air hissed as it was filtered out with breathable air. Justin took his rebreather off. It was his first time inside one of the NFMC cars. He liked the style of them. They felt pleasant to be inside, and the seat was comfortable. He started up the car and drove off in the direction of the NFMC Council meeting chambers. There, he was to meet with the head overseer of the planet, John Wilkins. Justin had spoken to John once or twice for work purposes. He knew very little about John. Justin was unsure of why he was to meet with someone of such a high rank like John. He could only assume that the problem must be severe, especially considering that John insisted on bringing him down from orbit instead of using someone already on the planet with some logistics knowledge. The Council meeting headquarters wasn't far away. It was mapped out on the car's navigation system, and the drive was only a few minutes. Justin didn't know what to expect from this job. He was given little information about what was going on down here with the spaceships. Something seemed off. John seemed like the type to communicate things clearly. John also seemed the type to value efficiency, and bringing Justin down from orbit to do this job hardly seemed efficient. However, Justin figured that all would be revealed soon. Justin pulled up to the building that his navigation system took him to. He parked the car, put on his rebreather, and got out. The building was coated in a thick layer of dust. The only thing visible from the outside were the windows, and that was only because they were cleaned regularly. Justin walked inside. The door shut automatically behind Justin as he made his way into the airlock.
Atmospheric purification in process. Do not remove your rebreather,
spoke the electronic voice over the speaker in the room once more. A hissing sound came from the walls as air was rapidly moved through the room, making it safe to breathe.
Atmospheric purification complete. You may now remove your rebreather,
spoke the voice once again. Justin walked forward and out of the airlock. In front of him was an octagonal-shaped room with a large table in the centre surrounded by chairs. The smell was distinct, like a new car. The decoration was rather bleak, and the room lacked depth. It would have looked nicer with a coat of paint or some decorative items. Justin took off his rebreather. Then, a door on the opposite side of the room to Justin opened. A man walked forth from it. His uniform was more formal than what many of the other workers on Solfilius were wearing. His hair was short and well kept, and his shoes were well polished. The man had strong facial features and darker skin. Justin could only guess this was John. "Good morning, Justin. I am Overseer John Wilkins," spoke the man. His voice was very deep and authoritative. "Good morning, sir. You wanted me here to deal with some logistical concerns, correct?" Justin replied, feeling a little intimidated. "Well, not exactly. You were here for a different reason. I cannot tell you the real reason over the radio. It wasn't a confidential means of communication with you," John replied. Justin began to worry a little. What really was his purpose here, and why did it need to be kept secret? "Confidential? What's my actual reason for being here?" he questioned, slightly concerned. "Come with me," John responded. John began to walk back through the door he came through, and into the hallway behind him. Justin promptly followed him. Beyond the hallway was a flight of stairs. The stairs then ended and opened into a small room underneath the octagon above them. This room was underground. It was well lit, and in the centre was a large table, with a large model of Cronus displayed on its surface, with Solfilius orbiting it. John and Justin both entered the room, and a door closed behind them, sealing tightly shut behind them. "Justin, what I am about to tell you is extremely serious. This is currently confidential information," John said to Justin. Justin's concern grew. John had a stern look on his face, undertoned by worry. "Look closely at Cronus on the model. Do you notice anything unusual about it?" John asked Justin. Justin looked carefully at Cronus. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary at first, until he spotted one spot on the surface of particular interest. The spot was glowing with a white light. It was substantially brighter than the rest of the model. "Yes, that's it," John said. Justin was a little startled by John's ability to so easily pinpoint where he was looking. He clearly had a lot of experience dealing with people. "Justin, that spot is a highly active part of Coronis. A team of astronomers noted its presence yesterday," John continued. "Solfilius was a large mining outpost. They needed people to do all sorts of jobs. On its surface were numerous scientists gathering information about the planet, its rocks, features, the star it orbits, and a whole lot more." Justin was confused. Why was this dot such a concern that he would need to be addressed about it in secret? Nonetheless, he trusted John. He had worked here for years and had lots of experience. "So John, why exactly does this need to be kept secret?" Justin asked John, puzzled. "Justin, it might be best if you'd sit down for this," John said. Justin took a seat on one of the chairs in the room. He could feel his heart pounding inside his chest. He felt himself starting to shake. He tried his best to remain focused, despite how all of this was making him feel. "The scientists believe it will shortly eject a coronal mass ejection of an unprecedented scale. They predict it will make direct contact with Solfilius." Justin felt himself go a little pale. His skin tingled, and he felt sick. Justin felt lost for words. He knew little about CMEs, but one thing he did know was they were large ejections of mass from a star. Considering how serious John was making this out to be, Justin was extremely worried about the damage this could cause. He managed to piece together a single response. "How much time until it reaches us?" he spoke, stuttering. 2 days, John responded.